Hello, good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Late start because we had to wait for the Duskmourn cards to come out on Magic Online. Thank you, T. Dixon, for the 41 months. Reginald Bald Dinger with the 27. Fast Hands with the 29. Thank you for the resubs. Now, you might have expected maybe we'd play something we didn't play in the pre-release event against Young Dingo, but the thing is, I have been dying to play some more of this Delirium deck. We played 4 matches against Dingo. We lost every single die roll despite being an aggro deck, and the deck was incredibly fast, incredibly consistent, and seemingly incredibly powerful. And I made some updates, and that's what we're going to start off with here today. So, for those of you who missed that Friday stream, we are playing a Delirium-based aggro deck using the new Patchwork Beastie, which is a 1-mana 3/3 artifact creature. Really big deal that this is 2 types. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may mill a card, but it cannot attack or block unless you have 4 more types in your graveyard. We're also playing Fear of Missing Out, which was probably the standout card. This is a 2-mana 2/3 enchantment creature, also 2 types. When it enters, discard a card, then draw a card. Notably, if your hand is empty, you just draw a card. And then whenever it attacks for the first time each turn, you get to untap a creature. And then there's an additional combat phase after that first combat phase. Very powerful, very explosive, especially when you're giving it haste with Arena of Glory and Detective's Phoenix. We're also playing the package of Say Its Name plus All in Attack. I was pretty impressed with it. When we playtested it, I will definitely be playtesting it some more. This is a kind of a regrowth variant. You mill 3 cards first, then you return a creature or land from your graveyard to your hand. But if you have 3 of these in your graveyard, you can activate an ability to exile 3 of them and put All in Attack into play from your hand, your graveyard, or your library. All in Attack is a 9/9 trampler that says whenever it becomes the target of a spell or an ability, you draw a card. And what's really cool about All in Attack is if you draw it, it can return a land from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped. So it's like in a deck with a bunch of fetch lands, it's just an instant speed uncountable rampant growth, which is not super powerful, but it's like awesome that this card isn't just a brick. You could also discard it to Fear of Missing Out. And then the card that was really a card that I was not expecting to be super good, but was super good, is Omnivorous Flytrap. Mostly when you're giving it haste, but Omnivorous Flytrap is a 3-mana 2/4. Whenever it enters the battlefield or attacks, so like a Titan, if there are 4 or more types in the yard, you put 2 counters among up to 2 target creatures. But if there are 6 or more types, which was way easier to achieve than I assumed it would be, you double all those counters on the creatures. And so there were several times where we would haste this, sometimes on turn 3, and it would just put 12 counters on itself. And it was really, really ridiculous. And so because of how powerful hasting both Fear of Missing Out and Flytrap was, I'm up to the full 4 Arena of Glories. Now, Arena of Glory is pretty awkward, right, if you draw them in multiples. So I've ended up cutting the Beseiju because I just wanted to cut a non-mountain. So I just have as many mountains as possible. We have 15 for Arena of Glory to enter untapped as consistently as possible. I'm playing the full 4 Tarfire in the main deck. Very funny to play more Tarfire than Lightning Bolts, but just 1 mana, 2 types, and then also like having Kindred as the 6th type potentially for Flytrap was a really big deal, so I'm pretty in on Tarfire. There's not that many 3 toughness creatures either. We're playing some Pyroclasms in the board for energy. We're playing some Force of Vigors in the board for Titan, in addition to the Blood Moons, and let's go ahead and get in there. Thank you, Dante, for the raid. Thank you, Mr. Seri, for the 42 months. Claw Carver with the 17. Badubla with the 4. Thank you all so much. I think I already got T. Dixon, but thank you again, T. Dixon, for the 41. Okay, so we have an All in Attack in our opening hand. We have 2 FOMOs with no second land. I think we are just going to be mulliganing this. And has a much more reasonable curve. I think I'm putting back just land number 3 on the draw. With the ability for Say Its Name to find land number 3 if we miss. So on the draw against Underground Mortuaries, maybe, we did a lot of winning with this deck. We did not do a lot of winning the die rolls. I'm certainly hoping that changes here today. My opponent, with the upkeep stop on our first match of the day, decides to go ahead and let us take a draw step. I think drawing Stomping Ground, I'm just going to go ahead and fetch my basic forest here and play my Patchwork Beastie. Now, Yawgmoth is probably not a very good matchup, and this is kind of what I'm assuming we're up against, but it could be something else. Okay, looks like maybe a Sam combo deck. Probably, definitely not a stock Yawgmoth. Kind of interesting. We are definitely going to be milling a card. We mill a copy of Flytrap. And so now we also have an Arena of Glory to haste a Flytrap next turn. I think I just need to cast Say Its Name, trying to get Delirium. We just need to mill one other type since the Say Its Name will be an enchantment. We do that since we mill Lightning Bolt. I'm going to grab another copy of Arena of Glory over the Flytrap because I want to keep the Delirium, of course, and then we're going to attack for 3. And so next turn we can Flytrap, and then potentially the turn after we can, assuming we're not combo killed, I guess, but we can haste Fear of Missing Out also, so that we can give this an extra combat step here. And then my opponent decides to not chump block with Cauldron Familiar, which is like maybe a little surprising, I guess. I realize Flytrap is a plant, so it has insane synergy value with Roots. I guess Roots is, I think, just not a very playable card anymore. Do I like the FOMO showcase art? I don't know. I'm trying out the showcase arts just to see if I like them, but I don't think I like them that much. I think it's mostly about the border though than the art itself. I think it looks a little weird, but it might grow on me. Yeah, I mean, I have a new build of Woodlands, but I don't think that this is going to be necessarily the best way to build it. Like the new Woodlands build I have is mostly just to test as many new cards as possible, and I expect this list to be kind of untuned. We can get by testing as many of the new cards as possible, we can get more of a feeling on how to build the deck. Okay, so we're up against the Amalia X Sam build here. We are going to mill one. We mill a Malevolent Rumble, and then we draw a Malevolent Rumble. So we could potentially Fear of Missing Out or Rumble into Fear of Missing Out with haste, and then that way, I guess we're just gonna haste the Flytrap. We can still do that next turn, and then maybe get the 6 types for Flytrap to double the types or whatever. Let me go ahead and just do one counter on each, and then one more counter on each. Could maybe be better to go like really big on one of our creatures, so if you find a Detective's Phoenix, that's maybe more likely for us to win the game. Not sure. Think Say Its Name will fit and Altanak fit into Soul Trader. I don't know, maybe. So like one thing is Say Its Name Altanak I think is pretty powerful in long grindy games. Modern is not exactly a format that is like represented by a lot of long grindy games, so not super clear to me. Okay, so dead to a Chord of Calling here, and there's the Chord of Calling. They're gonna get a Sam, and unfortunately we lost this die roll. Okay, so I'm gonna bring in my Pyroclasms. This matchup is probably not so bad since we have a lot of cheap 1-mana removal. Don't think we're too worried about it. I do think the Patchwork Beastie seems like it's likely to get chump blocked a lot. The Phoenixes seem pretty nice to get flying. I think we're just going to go down on Beasties here. Sanchez with the 23 months. Thank you. Welcome back. And Bathrobe King with the 28. Thank you all. Any thoughts on Necrodominance build, the life gain, Enduring Tenacity? Yeah, I think that card is interesting. I saw Canister post a list. I've tried a little bit of like Sorin plus Nourishing Shoal, but like just the timing of like when Sorin flips is really awkward. But this card, the fact that it's just a very resilient version of this effect is pretty cool to me, and it curves in out of Necrodominance. I don't know if that's the right way to say it, but it curves pretty well, and I'm in general interested. Yes. I missed the deck, no changes, creator stream. We're probably like 12 cards different. You can rewind to the beginning of the stream to see the deck as always. Goodbye, Mailbox, for the 10 months. Thank you. Endurance to stop cat combo. It's not very good at stopping the cat combo, because if they just have another food token, you're cooked. It's just way better to like Bolt Amalia or Sam, or Tarfire Amalia or Sam. I've got 9-1 in my last 2 leagues with my Dice Factory Eldrazi deck. Without one rings, wow. Yeah, I do think that that deck is really good, and I think people maybe get a little bit like not that interested in playing like a Tron style shell or for whatever that's worth. But I did also like that deck, and I thank you for the feedback that it is going well for you. Okay, let me just take this Beastie, I think. Yeah, definitely over the Wooded Foothills, and then get in for 3. Now, next turn I can maybe go Beastie plus Bolt plus Bestow, although I would probably lose Delirium, although with 2 Surveils I might be able to get it back. I guess I'd have the Bolt in the yard at the very least. Yeah, let me get that record tracker up, sorry. I guess let me see if the record tracker is working for Timmy. I need to switch the name over. Any Woodland Arcanless I'm cooking up? I mean, some. So to some extent, like the Woodlands, like Gristlebrand combo build, I've got prepped. That build is mostly like my attitude is that I want to try like as many of the new cards in that set to just kind of get a feel for what it is we can be doing with the new cards. If that makes sense. Okay, not the best top deck. And so for me, I think that kind of build is going to take. It's going to take some time to figure out, and I'm just going to be kind of patient, I think. And do my best to like evaluate the new cards today. Okay, so let's get rid of a Flytrap, a Pyroclasm, and a Lightning Bolt, maintaining Delirium, keeping the Say Its Name in the yard for all an attack, surveilling this into the graveyard, and then cracking in for 8 damage. Now, one thing I could potentially... Oh, sorry, I guess I can't get back Wooded Foothills and Surveil because this... That's intertapped, but I do have 8 points of flying in the air. My opponent's at 8 life, and they don't seem to be that good at blocking. How good is Screaming Nemesis in Modern from your point of view? Is that the... Which one is Screaming Nemesis? Oh, that's Creaming Nemesis. Oh, that one. So Screaming Nemesis is the Boros Reckoner with haste that stops life gain. I think the card has some potential. I think that there's a good chance that the card is very good in energy mirrors, like very good against Boros. I think in fact it's very likely to be that. The more I've been thinking about it, I did omit it for my set review because I mostly didn't think it was going to have that many applications. But after looking at some of Dingo's list and playing against the card a little bit in the pre-release stream, I think that the card has potential, and yeah, the card has potential. Okay, so they're going to Grist and then attack and then kill one of my creatures here. I'm not sure which one. Probably the Beastie, right? No, sorry, probably the Channeler. Because then it's just still online. And maybe they could like Endurance to turn this off. Okay, well, we will mill a card. Since we didn't surveil something to the top. Although we get kind of punished by just... putting this Tarfire in the yard. I guess I might as well see if I can find another Phoenix. No second Phoenix. And then now I need to decide. I think attacking them has got to be right. And I'm going to plan to discard all the tech to get back a fetch land to surveil in my upkeep here. Bruno Telbar with the gifted sub. Thank you so much. Enemies to love, right? Creaming Nemesis. So they plus and they discard, they mill over an Amalia. So something that could maybe happen would be like return to the ranks, although they would need to have basic planes or fetch for a basic plane since they're at 2. I know we got new cards every try Arena of Glory and the new Convoke Dino. I think it's huge. I mean, the problem with that card is like it's like a red land in a deck that needs to be mostly playing a ton of cheap green cards, and hasting it with Arena of Glory can get a little weird. Like it's tough to like be floating a mana and you're not attacking for 20, but you could. Usually I like to play Torch Courier as my haste enabler for that card because it like convokes and then sacks for haste afterwards. So there's their land for turn, so no return to the ranks. And then they don't have an answer for my big flyer, and they concede the game. Okay, we're on the draw for game 3. My one of Patchwork Beastie won me the game. I do actually think maybe on the draw I should probably play like one more, just have like a slightly lower curve, just trim a Flytrap on the draw since we don't really want to combo them. What's the plan with the 7-drop? I'm gonna get the 7 mana and cast it, of course. This 7-drop has a very nice line of text that you can exile 3 Say Its Names from the yard and just put it into play. from your graveyard, your library, or your exile. It just goes into play. And that's pretty good. Why not peer past the veil in this deck? Is that? Oh, that's the 4 mana. I always forget the name. Discard your hand, draw. That card is a card you can play in mid range combo control. This is an aggro deck. You cannot afford to have 4 mana draw effects in your aggro decks. You're going to be way too slow in a very, very fast modern format. Interesting. Sylvan Safekeeper is pretty intimidating. I do think I'm pretty locked in and going Channeler Tarfire here. Now, I think I'm going to go after the Goose instead of the Safekeeper, but of course, either way, they can sack a land to protect. Now, our ability to get Delirium here is pretty high since this is going to be giving us 2 types. Did I consider the Delirium Haste Stormcrow for this list? I did, but the problem is you don't want cards that are like only good if you have Delirium on turn 2. I'm not sure if that exactly makes sense. Let's keep that. Yeah, I'm not sure if that exactly makes sense, but that card is like the card is good in what situation? When you have Delirium on turn 2 and you're attacking for 4 haste. Attacking for 4 haste on turn 3 is not that impressive. You are basically never going to have Delirium on turn 2 unless you go fetch, Channeler, Bauble, and then get lucky on your Surveil. And so that's why like most of our 2-drops are either don't need Delirium on turn 2, like Fear of Missing Out, or they are Delirium enablers like Rumble and Say Its Name. Now, I think my plan is to, like, one-shot them with a flying, hasty Omnivorous Flytrap next turn. Now, maybe that plan doesn't make as much sense. Feels like I do need to bolt something and stop Court of Calling from being as good. I'm going to deny them either a mana or I'm going to deny them a land. We also could get very lucky and mill a bunch of Say Its Names, I guess, and then haste with the Phoenix. We'd have to mill 2 more right now, though. We do mill 1 more, and there's a Bauble, and also our Bolt that could potentially help. But really, we want to put it in the yard right now so that we can haste it with Phoenix and just win the game. Don't need this to haste the Flytrap. Let me just look at my top card. It's another Flytrap. Okay. Yeah, so I only have 2 Say Its Names. Let's go ahead and Lightning Bolt the Safekeeper. Seven types in the yard, by the way. Is one downside of being a brewer that you have to entertain whack/not fully thought out suggestions from chat all the time. I actually love to talk about that kind of stuff. I love to try to help people get better at building decks. I love to have like meaningful, in-depth conversations about brewing and about getting better at Modern and getting better at suggestions. And when people give not thought out questions, I think it's always a good learning opportunity. It's not something I am ever I try not to be angsty about. I like to think that this is a productive place to come and learn. Ironic that the Goyf isn't good enough. I mean, you could play Goyf. I don't think the Goyf is like a lock for being suboptimal here. So it doesn't seem like they have the cord. They would go for it while we were tapped out here. So I'm gonna go ahead and sack the spawn so I can Phoenix and Tarfire if needed. And then I think maybe their last card could be Fatal Push, so why don't we just like play around it a little bit, right? And then I can exile a FOMO a Rumble, and then 2 Bolts while maintaining all my types in the yard and not exiling all the tech. Because I could maybe surveil the last or one more say its name into the yard here. Okay, so let's just go ahead and go to combat. All right, and they're super dead. Nice. All right, only a 1-lander. Let's mulligan. And it's Arena of Glory. Okay, let's keep this. I'm going to put back the second Bauble. Do have a list with Say Its Name and Buried Alive. So this is something that, like, I think I'm going to... Should I keep this Arena of Glory? I think let's keep the Arena of Glory. This is something that Dingo suggested. Buried Alive only puts creatures into the graveyard. If you could put any types in the yard, you'd see Buried Alive plus 3 Creeping Chills. You know, you would see Buried Alive see a lot more play if it could put any type into the yard. This is not a plan. Just graveyard that, get the extra type in the yard, guarantee Delirium off the Say Its Name. I'll let Meyer go. Maybe we'll just play a Beastie here. Keep the Bolt up. Alright, deck tech for Initial Bird. Sultai Archon. Yeah, I did never really get around to this, huh? The mana just really kind of sketchy. Oh, you're just not playing any Woodland. I guess that was something I could never do, is just not play Woodland. But I'm also like just not very excited to play a deck like this without Woodland. Wait, we're playing against Dredge? That'll be interesting. Yeah, actual 0 copies of Woodland is probably not right. Okay, so they're going to bring back a Silver Smoked Ghoul on the instep here. Wait, how did this Narcomoeba just in the graveyard? Or did they discard it? They might have. I'm going to go and bolt the Ghoul. Okay, let's mill. Mill a Fear of Missing Out. Cast a Say Its Name. Grab another Beastie. The next turn we can say its name back, Fear of Missing Out, potentially, and haste Fear of Missing Out. Yeah, you need to play at least 2 Woodlands. I don't think this Cauldron is great. I kind of dig having exactly 1 copy of it, but not really so sure, I guess. Let's see, what would I do with the mana? I would maybe just... I don't think these trolls are that good either. They're okay. Ugh. Let's see. Also, no breeding pool but a hedge mage is kind of weird to me. But I feel like you could kind of go minus a troll, minus a 2, and for 2 Woodlands. All right, mill, another Rumble, mill a Bauble. We drew all in the tech again. Not exactly ideal. Oh my gosh, and I mistapped too. Well, I think we're kind of toasted anyways against Dredge game 1. Let's just go to game 2. All right, we do have some graveyard hate. I end up having the 1 hearse for a little bit, end up cutting it like the last second. Maybe should have 1 more hearse. Don't think it's going to be that big a deal. Pyroclasm is also kind of like weirdly good against Dredge sometimes. It kills like their Narcomoebas and their ghouls. Maybe it's not that. Probably not really where you want to be, right? Yeah, I think I'm just going to cut my lightning bolts, keep the Tarfires in for Delirium, and then mostly I think we're leaning on Flytrap. Yeah, Titan is more popular. We're playing some Force of Vigors. What happens if Woodland copies a battle in your graveyard? I don't know. That's kind of a good question. What happens if you if it flips? Then we need to maybe brew that plus the 5 mana battle. But I am gonna go use the restroom. Right back.
What's up? It's me, your friend Aspiring Spike. What's up? It's me, your friend Aspiring Spike. What's up? It's me, your friend Aspiring Spike.
But why concede? Because we could never win in that spot, and I'm saving you time. I'm saving me time. I don't know how much you've played against Dredge before, but that was not a game to continue, in my opinion. Now I really don't want to. My opponent's on a mold of 4. I really don't want to pitch this Flytrap because like between the Channeler Surveil, my Heath going to the yard, my Heath surveilling, this being 2 types, me having Arena of Glory, this is going to be delirious, probably, and there's even a chance we have 6 types. Draz with the 4 months. Thank you. Welcome back. Appreciate you. So I guess maybe I should have. I think I'm too late on my stop, but maybe I should upkeep Tarfire my opponent to try to find another green card here. And so maybe we'll just go main phase. Graveyard say its name. And then just surveil. And then this is going to be type number. All right. Sorry, creature and enchantment, not just enchantment. All right, yeah. So we'll be able to attack for lethal next turn. Draz the 4 months. Thank you. Welcome back. Figler with the 17. Appreciate you. So presumably my opponent will cast a Cathartic Reunion or Triumph here, and maybe my opponent will get a Narcomoeba to chump block. But I'm very excited about this. Dredge a Creeping Chill, Dredge a Creeping Chill. Oh boy. Oh, and they also have Leyline of the Void in their sideboard. So we're going to need to bring in some Force of Vigors for game 3, I guess. Green card is really ideal. So we're attacking for 17, so not quite lethal. They don't have to chump block if they don't want to chump block, but going to 2 is maybe not going to be their best option. That was a really good dredge, by the way. This is certainly above average for the turn 2. Now, I think I'm just going to be endurancing after my opponent resolves all their Oxyvagonus stuff here, which I'm assuming is what they're going to do. Just like let the Creeping Chill Narcomoeba triggers go in the stack and just hit him with the endurance. Although what's funny is my opponent is, even if I would go to 1, and then I would just hit them with the Tarfire. Although I guess they would have a bunch of flyers, so maybe it still wouldn't be quite enough. Do you have something? I'm gonna put 2 counters on this and then double all the counters next turn. Maybe they haven't read the card yet because it's new. The Phoenix is going to be a little too costly on getting types out of the yard, so let's just go ahead and Flytrap. Flytrap is kind of crazy. Flytrap is this is kind of a silly card. Oh no. -17. Alright, so we gotta bring in some Force of Vigors. I'm gonna go down. Tarfire was really good that game. I'm gonna go down 2 though, since I'm bringing in instants. And then I think I want to play 2. Windswept Beastie probably. Standard power level. Well, it is a lot weaker in standard. You don't have Rumble, you don't have Channel or Bauble, you don't have Tarfire, but yeah. Opponent's on a mold of 6. I'm on a mold of 6. Definitely going to keep a Force of Vigor Endurance hand. Let's put back this Detective's Phoenix, I think. So no Leyline is nice. Would love to draw like a Rumble or a Say Its Name to get Delirium on the Flytraps. We'll be pitching the Force of Vigor to the the Force of Vigor to the Endurance should we need to Endurance here. Oh, yeah, where do we land on Woodland plus Battles? If I copy an Invasion of Allura with Shifting Woodland, does it immediately just transform because it has no counters? I would think that that's how it works, and that might be pretty good. Yeah, you also don't have Detective's Phoenix or Arena of Glory for whatever that's worth too. It goes to the grave with no effect. Okay. Go, because it doesn't have the other side. Right. Okay. Yeah, this looks like we're going to need to Endurance with them. Where did all these Thoughtseize? Why do they have Thoughtseize in against me? I guess because I'm an Endurance deck. And, like, thankfully my opponent has drawn a Golgari Thug, a Dark Blast, and a Steak Venom, so that's 3 of their 5 cards. But somehow it always seems like, even though they waste a lot of draws dredging, they just have another one of these all the time. Alright, come on, Enabler. Even a fetch land would be nice. Alright, not quite so lucky. Yeah, they just have another one. I know they get to play a lot of them, but it's just like it's always like you've done so many of your draws dredging. How do you have more of these? They also have a Wonder in the yard with an island. Well, I'm going to play this Flytrap. What's kind of fun about having a bunch of cards with 2 types, although I guess since I have Creature, I guess I would have to hit like Surveil Tarfire to get Delirium next turn. They dredge an Amalgam into the yard. Probably not doing too much right now. Come on, a lot of good draws. Okay, we drew a Tarfire for turn, which means that instead of surveilling, which is kind of odd, I would not have expected to have not surveilled here. We're just gonna go Tarfire into cast Flytrap, and I think we'll just go all in on the one that can actually attack this turn for maximum damage this turn. And then we're just attacking for a lot against a Dredge opponent who is now stumbling since we've Enduranced them. Fable probably too slow. Yeah, Fable is not only too slow in this deck. I think Fable is kind of just not that good in Modern anymore. There was a time where I felt like Fable was, good, and the more and more I play with MH3, it's like the card is good in some Delirium-based combo decks. I don't think you want to play them in Delirium-based aggro deck. Fable's just not a very good aggro card, very slow. I'm going to keep this one. Puts on a mold of 6 on the play. We've also lost... Did we lose the... Did we lose the last round's die roll? Because if we did, we're 0-7 in die rolls with the deck still. It's like Beastie is 1 mana. We just like really need another 1 mana creature, and I'd like have liked the card. Okay, so Thoughtseizing me. Are they maybe just take Bauble? Is our deck weak against Dredge? Green-red aggro decks typically have a nightmare against Dredge, yeah. I don't know if our deck is weak against Dredge, because like we have some new elements that kind of change that dynamic, but yes, I think historically we'd be weak against Dredge. Okay, just going to Surveil turn 1. Interesting. I'm going to keep that, actually. I thought you lost game 1 of Dredge too. Of course. You lose game 1 against Dredge so often with decks like this. Esper with 2 Arid Maces? Okay. So we're on the draw against Goryo's. This was definitely a league to play more Graveyard Hate, I guess. So next turn I could potentially go haste both Channelers, Lightning Bolt Archaeologist, untap an Archaeologist with FOMO. That being said, if they can Ephemerate their Atraxa here, we're just going to concede. I don't see an Ephemerate over here, though, so we may get to avoid that. Written 6 is bad. You just like don't want to spend in your aggro deck. You don't want to spend any moment of the game, unless you're playing a particularly grindy matchup. Just casting Written 6 as like a card advantage card. They choose Force of Negation, Marsh Flats, Emperor of Bones. And we're hoping that they're Thoughtseizing us here and not just having the Ephemerate. They just have it, and when Goryo's just has it, it is usually a hard time. So let's bring in these Endurances. I'm going to cut the Bolts, and then I'm pretty interested, I think, in playing Blood Moons on the play, especially if we're playing a bit more of an unknown quantity, right? So let's bring these in. I'm going to cut a Beastie and then probably 2 Tarfires. And then I think on the draw, I'm probably not as likely to be playing Blood Moons. Yeah, but say its name is like this card has been very good. It's like one has the nuts of just putting a 9/9 into play. It's a Delirium enabler. The regrowth effect is nice. It is like kind of a mandatory include. Especially it's also like I'll say this too. Like we do a lot of testing new cards on stream. You know, this is like what we're a brew channel. We came here to brew. And so usually I'll say that if your suggestion is let's cut this brand new package that can cheat a 9/9 into play for 0 mana as soon as turn 2 if you're very lucky. I'm just usually not like, all right, let's play Red and 6 over this. Let's not play the new cards on set release day. It's just like it's basically never going to happen. We are always going to be testing the new cards during set release. Keep Beastie, trim Flytrap for curve. I mean, maybe. Wait, we're on the play, so I think on the play, just want all your Flytraps. Real Bad Tech with the 7. Thank you. Welcome back. So we mill a Flytrap. I might want to fetch a basic forest next turn, so I'm going to play my Arena of Glory. We only need to find 1 extra type here for Delirium. Ooh. Fair enough. They pitch an Atraxa. Real Bad Tech with a 7, Telling Cat with the 19. Thank y'all. So I only have 3 types. I don't really want to cut myself off of off of green. I think I'm just going to hold up the Hardcast Endurance. Real Bad Tech with a 7, Cat with a 19, Comment with a 40, Side Type with a 34. Thank you so much. Okay, they keep a card on top. So I'm going to cast this, and then if they don't take Blood Moon, we'll slam Blood Moon. And if they do take Blood Moon, we have Delirium, and we can get pretty aggressive. 80 merits of playing a second Beastie. I think it's better to hold up the Endurance. There's obviously some merit, right? All right. Some lag here. Arborist with the 15 months. Thank you. Welcome back. I'm going to go and just put counter here to play around Solitude a bit better. And then like this. Opponent is down to 5. Wait, going to game 3. On the draw for game 3, they sold Blood Moon, so I think they're going to be making it like a much more conscious effort to play around it. I think we're just going to go cut all the Blood Moons, since I kind of doubt they'll be good. You could maybe play 1, but let's just, I think, bring back in this Beastie. And then I think we'll play 3 Tarfire, 1 Bolt. Not the most scientific. Yeah, Flytrap has been, like, shockingly good. Alright, we're not going to mulligan an Endurance on the draw against Gorios. We think of DRC in the FOMO Hollow One builds. So I think that I can never remember the name of the other card. The 1/2 Menace. Whenever you discard a card, it grows. Like that card is I think better with FOMO than DRC is, where you get to like pump it for a lot and then untap and hit with it for, in theory, a lot. Yeah, them graveyarding Emperor Bones is like really likely they don't have extra lands because that card is really good against us just naturally. So yeah, that's kind of my impression is that let's keep that on top. So that's just kind of my impression. Is that I would still rather play the whenever you discard a card, it grows. It's maybe a little bit boomer, but also with DRC you have to play Bauble, and like it's not super easy to just like the deck is a lot better if you could just cut 4 Baubles somehow. right, so they force pitch Atraxa. So we'll probably have to, spend another turn setting up, and also now we only have 3 Say Its Names total. See if they have another force. They do not. Although we don't really get extra types in the yard. Still just sorcery land. Weird game. I'm going to surveil again here, though. We'll put like an enchantment creature or artifact creature into the yard here. Can just haste a Flytrap. There's an enchantment creature into the yard. Delirium online. There's Channeler. It's kind of an interesting card. I think I don't want to draw it. I think I just want to cast a Detective's Phoenix because I'm a little bit worried about Solitude. I'm not sure about this. But I have a feeling my opponent might be like itchy to Solitude something this turn. Maybe this is just playing like way too scared though. And I drew a Channeler anyways. Which is maybe, I don't know. It's kind of, I think I've actually necessarily played this one particularly well. Yeah, I think I maybe even just am leaving this Flytrap in my hand as my green card for Endurance. I'm just gonna like Phoenix onto Phoenix. I only have 1 Say Its Name left. No, we'd be hasting a Altanak here if they didn't exile my other Say Its Name, which is kind of sad. So I've tapped my Arena of Glory, so I think I'm just gonna graveyard this FOMO. Although it wouldn't be the worst draw. Although finding another Endurance is kind of like the best thing, so this seems to have worked out, I suppose. And they Force of Negation again, pitching Atraxa this time. So we just get to attack for 8, put them down to 9. And what's good is that they can't crack a fetch land. Okay, they did have the Solitude, so I'm glad that we've played around this. Now, if they have an Ephemerate, this is not very good for me. Okay, not very good for me. But we still have the Flytrap as a little bit of a consolation prize here, I guess. Maybe could have been better to do it a different way. Maybe it could have. Okay, so we're drawing another copy of Endurance. I think that there's a somewhat reasonable chance my opponent is going to Indulgence discard Atraxa, since their last 2 cards are just spells, and they didn't play a Frog. Although they have also already pitched 2 Atraxas. But would they have pitched 2 Atraxas if they didn't have a third? Maybe they would have, and maybe they wouldn't have. We also could maybe just like block the Solitude. Getting counters on Endurance could be good to like be better against another Solitude. They graveyarded Goryo's. The degree that they paused there makes me think that one of the 2 spells that's already in their hand is not another copy of Goryo's Vengeance. Then they find a Nile Spellbomb. Then they play around my, I guess, pretty telegraphed Endurance. Not sure if I was supposed to shuffle there, but didn't seem so bad. Also, I'm not sure. This is kind of weird. I think I'm not going to haste the Flytrap because my opponent is going to Spellbomb in response, and because they're going to do that, I want to leave the Flytrap back to block the Solitude. So let's do this. I'm also going to play out my Beastie, so I can start filling up the yard again, and then we're going to attack for 3. Weird game. If you're asking about Frog with Phoenix, I still play a copy of Blue swap Salvaging for the 4 frogs out of 18th land thoughts. I don't know. Salvaging is really important. You're losing a density of spells. I'm not like super enthused with the archetype in general. Frog is really good. I think instead of me giving you thoughts, Why don't you just test it and then let me know how it goes? Okay, Deluge. So 2 cards in their hand. Very weird game. They find land number 4. And then they've had this Archaeologist for a bit. They find Agorio's Vengeance to put in their hand. Certainly a good card to know about. They play the Delta we knew about, and then so their hand is Goryo's mystery card with no Atraxa in the yard, and also 2 Atraxas gone. I'm gonna hold my endurance, of course, at this point in the game. Maybe of course isn't the right word, but okay, we drew the last endurance and a rumble. Pretty good. Now this is kind of an interesting one. Since I have lost all my Say Its names. I'm not actually that far away from casting it, but I think I should just probably... Oh, wait, no, sorry. I forgot about the... I forgot about my spawn token, so I will just actually be able to hard cast this if I top deck a land, so now I've put myself in this position where lands are good, spells are good. So how many fly traps do I still have? So 3, it's pretty good, but now 6 types in the yard. They put a Godless Shrine in their graveyard here. Do they play Thoughtseize? They do play Thoughtseize, yeah. Yeah, Bauble will never keep because of Thoughtseize, if that's the question. Okay, so we draw our last copy of Say Its Name, but this can also get back our Flytrap with haste, which is pretty big. So let's go ahead and do that. And then it's kind of nice that they don't have 5 mana, so if they do have a Solitude, they have to have a white card to get rid of this as the 2 unknowns, since we also know that they have a Goryo's Vengeance. How likely is it that they have a removal spell as their last card? I think it like somewhat likely. I'm going to go ahead and just make the spawn a threat. And then I'm going to put the counters on... I'm going to put 1 counter on the Flytrap and then another counter on the spawn token so the counters get doubled. A little bit scared of Ephemerate, but I guess it doesn't really make that much sense for them to have it. They would have had to have just top decked it. Alright, so 11 power spawn token has to get chump blocked. They're down to 7. Endurance up. Very, very swingy game here. You ever seen a 10-11 spawn token before? Alright, there's an Archaeologist. Not very likely to mill over a Goriozable creature. Right, they find an Indulgence or a Force. They should almost always be taking the Indulgence here, right? Should be all given to the FOMO. Yeah, I think so. Right, they cast that Indulgence. Now they're facing 2 lethal creatures. They just draw 2 also. Plays a Marsh Flats. Now my Arena of Glory is tapped, so I'm basically never casting Altanak here. We can maybe haste it next turn if by sacking spawn, although my spawn is now bigger than Altanak would be, which is funny. And then they're going to Solitude my Flytrap, I presume. Pitching the 3rd Atraxa, so only 1 left. They do get rid of the Flytrap. So we're going to attack with our 11-10 spawn token. Their hand is Goryo's Vengeance, mystery card. I could potentially just haste 2 Endurances next turn. Or just play 1 end of turn, maybe. Now, they can't discard anything, have to draw 2. Hot take that Arena of Glory is the best land in Modern. I mean, the fetch lands are all better, but nobody counts those. They're the soul rings of Modern. How's Altanak been working Modern? I think it's good. It's definitely good in this deck. Let's get a trophy prediction. We are 7-0 with this archetype. We've lost 6 or 7 die rolls. Out of the 7 matches we've played, but we're still undefeated. If you count the pre-release stream with Dingo. If you have Delirium, you put 2 counters whenever it enters or attacks. So 4 counters if you give it haste. But if you have 6 types instead of 4 types for Delirium, you double those counters on the enter the battlefield and on the attack. In fact, that is 12 counters hasty if you or if you haste it with 6 types. Okay, let's keep this on the draw, I guess. Dougie with the 3 months. Thank you. Welcome back. Any thoughts on Mana Crypt in Modern or Legacy? No. No thoughts. I think we should surveil here. I don't want to play my Channeler into a Bowmaster. We've also lost another die roll. Truly an unsettling amount of die rolls lost with this deck. Can anybody either go back or tell me if we won the die roll against Living End? I really can't remember. That's the only match I'm not sure we lost the die roll in. Have you played against Energy? Not yet. I know that's going to be a big one to test. I'm optimistic about the matchup, though. Okay. I'm going to kill this now, I guess. They can't quite return the Yawgmoth because they don't have enough energy for whatever that's worth. Yeah, I agree Jeweled Lotus would be really not too broken in Modern. Any consideration putting back second Tarfire instead of Altanak? I think you almost are always keeping the second Tarfire in the spot. I don't know. I think in the blind, it's just I think just it's super clear that you should. I don't know. So the problem with keeping this FOMO is the lack of Delirium. So I think I'm gonna graveyard it, but it would be pretty nice to keep. I think. Maybe we'll just draw one. Oh, we did just draw one. Okay, cool. So we're going to discard the Heath. And then we can attack twice with our Channeler. Get in for 6. Probably. There's a Say Its Name. Which would be our 6th type in the yard. Yeah, there is the double and cube Jeweled Lotus thing in Legacy is pretty funny. There is technically an application for the card. Holy smoke, you're good at top deck. I think this deck is pretty good at top decking in general. Is something I'm starting to think, but yes, we're also doing a good job top decking today. All right, so they play Basic Swamp. They cast a Yawgmoth. They sack the Messenger to shrink my Channeler. Then presumably they're going to Nightmare back the Messenger into play. Your enemy down to 13. Shrinks the Channeler again. And then are they going to kill the Channeler now? If so, we can kind of force them to trade FOMO for Yawgmoth. Because this gets to attack twice, so the first time it bounces off, and then the second time it kills. Although I might just bolt the Yawgmoth. We'll see. Let me see what I draw. Yeah. So I guess we're always just casting Say Its Name first. And then seems like I just want to take a hasty Flytrap for next turn with 6 types. Then I'm going to play an untapped Stomping Ground. Untap my FOMO. And then they're dead if they don't block, and the Yawgmoth is dead if they do. So I think this is a pretty good position for us. Okay, so they take 2. I mean, I think it's pretty reasonable for them to not block, right? Because they know one of my 2 cards is Flytrap. My last card has to be exactly Lightning Bolt for them to be dead. They decided to block the second attack, which is functionally the same as blocking the first. So dead Yawgmoth, and then my Flytrap is going to make. I'm gonna have basically 3 lethal attackers because I'm gonna get to attack with this one twice, and then I'm gonna go 1 counter on the FOMO, double it on the first one. Okay, so there's Messenger. They have Nightmare, and then 5 mystery cards. They do play the Nightmare. Don't think we need to be very scared of it. I can confirm I won the die roll against living. Okay, so thank you. I'm glad that it's not bugged. We can win die rolls. We have won 1 out of the 8 die rolls of this deck. Sandman with the 37. Thank you. Welcome back. Appreciate you. So now they have enough energy to get back. Yeah, I guess they Yogg. I guess they couldn't have got back Yogg that turn, right? And they can play a land this turn, right? Yeah, then they surveil again. Alright, leaves a card on top, but I'm pretty sure they are dead here. Let me go ahead and just see if I surveil Phoenix into the yard. Oh, no more surveil lands, so not super likely. It's crazy how Pick Your Poison fell off. Well, Domain Zoo wasn't one of the most popular decks anymore, but if it ever were again, then that probably would change. Wait, they have Endurance? Sucks so much. And I don't even have my fetch land anymore to like at least get 1 type into the yard. Main deck Endurance. I mean, I guess it's not too uncommon for Yogg, but just kind of had to dodge it there, right? We need to draw a Rumble or say its name pretty bad. Okay, bad sequencing. They should have definitely played Innkeeper before plussing the Grist. They're playing Rot Farm because they're playing Grazer in their deck. It's pretty good with the Boreal Grazer. Not really any more to it than that. All right, Rumble or say its name. Yeah, because they have this Innkeeper. The bolts are going to be not quite good enough. There's a somewhat reasonable chance we'd be getting them without it. Yeah, I mean, I can bolt the Yogg, I can bolt the Innkeeper. I think we're just a little too toasted here. I don't think there's a realistic way for us to win that one now. I think I went Pyroclasm. The Endurances are better against this build that's playing Nightmare and Rolf's Messenger than maybe against more stock Yawgmoth. So I think we're going to bring them in. And I think we're going to cut the Beasties. I think they're probably quite bad in this matchup. We could play 1 still, potentially. We could play 1 Pyroclasm 2. Play 1. Alright, 1 land in its Arena of Glory, so let's take a mulligan. Let's keep this hand. Putting back second, or the third land, there's the basic mountain. And then I could bauble myself. If I see Unholy Heat, I'm going to shotgun the Stomping Ground. I think I'm just going to shotgun the Stomping Ground anyways. Okay, Endurance is a good card to know about, but kind of a scary card to see. I'm just going to shock it in anyways. Like I'm the aggro deck in this matchup, so I think the upside of me drawing Tarfire and then my opponent playing a killable creature is just high enough for me to shock. I don't know if I'm going to Tarfire that. Abrupt Decay on top. Let's wait, I think. I might just discard this to the FOMO. Although now I'm going to discard the Phoenix to the FOMO. I know my opponent has Endurance in their hand, so if we can get Delirium without using our Rumble, it'll be a pretty big deal because then we'll be able to get them to use the Endurance and then just get Delirium back with Rumble probably. And that looks like what's going to happen. So I'm going to crack this fetch. And then I'm going to attack with my FOMO. And tapping here. And then if they block with Young Wolf, I'll probably just Endurance their Young Wolf. Okay, they just Fatal Push. So that's not exactly ideal. So do I have to use a Rumble now? They keep a card on top. Seems like I'm pretty priced into rumbling. Taking a Flytrap. And then I think I'm just gonna bestow so I don't lose my Phoenix, and then My Flytrap maybe makes them endurance. Between Nightmare and Cauldron, I could see wanting one Force of Vigor. Yeah, maybe. Better on the draw, probably. Have 7 card types in our yard. With only 6 cards in our yard. Okay, well, I'm going to block for sure. They're going to decay my Phoenix. They're decaying the token, which I think is the worst option by a pretty significant amount. They genuinely might have misclicked, though. I think those two permanents are pretty close together on the board, right? So I don't want to crack my fetch before casting the trap because they're going to probably endurance here. Oh well, they can interrupt this trigger, but they did not interrupt the trigger, and now I get to attack with a 6-power flyer. Maybe they don't have a green card. How's it 7 types? Well, we have an enchantment creature, so that's 2 types, and we have a kindred instant, so that's 2 types. So these are like these 2 cards by themselves are 4. Then we have a land, a sorcery, and an artifact. Do I like working from home? I love it. I love it. Not everybody does. Esther also works from home, and she would kind of like prefer to work in the office, but her office is stationed in Chicago. But for me, I like it a lot. As someone who used to have to go into an office every day. Okay, so I'm gonna play Bauble. Now I can just actually get Delirium. I could just get Delirium after they endurance me. So I'm gonna go ahead and go 1/1. Although I'm not gonna have all the types anymore for whatever that's worth. All right, so endurance, target me. So let's I guess think for a moment if I want to surveil or not, basically. Let me look at my top card. Arena of Glory. Okay, so land is in the yard. Yeah, I think I'm just gonna cash in Tarfire and Bolt to kill the endurance instead of going like Bolt the Young Wolf and then cast endurance. Oh, maybe that's better. Yeah, maybe that was just better. Or Tarfire the Young Wolf then cast endurance. Not sure. Yeah, I could get really lucky and hit a FOMO here. I also get to like set up for my next draw, which is not irrelevant. So only 4 types, but very funny to like my opponent enduranced me, and then before the endurance trigger resolves, we just have Delirium again. Very fun. Then they're going to go down to 6, and then Yawgmoth is definitely not going to operate from 6 life in this position very well. Isn't the best line fetch, hold priority, Bauble self to decide if you need to surveil. If you fetch and you look at your top card, like you're then going to shuffle before anything else happens. Like you always shuffle first so that you lose the Bauble completely. You need to Bauble yourself to see if you want to keep it all. I do agree that like 1 Force of Vigor on the draw is probably nice to have. Maybe over the Pyroclasm on the draw. Pyroclasm may be a little worse on the draw, not sure. Because I feel like you want to like get on board and then Clasm. Maybe that's not right. Let's try this though. What did I used to do before MTG content? A lot of stuff, but I was an IT guy for the last few years. Okay, on the draw. For game 3. I don't hate this hand. I don't really like it that much either. I think if this was like almost any other card, I'm probably keeping. Let's try to mulligan. I think this hand is better. It's going to put back a commercial district since we can just fetch for the districts, right? Hand does need some help, but I think it's better than our 7. They do keep a 7-card Grazer hand, which probably doesn't bode too well for us. 7-card Grazer, Rod Farm. Interesting pickup. Let me just go ahead and surveil. That's kind of weird. It seemed like they were excited to Bowmaster and then just didn't. Then they realized this was a Marionette Apprentice in their hand, maybe? I don't know. I don't know if that's what just happened, but kind of feels like that's what just happened. Untapped Overgrown Tomb. Gilded Goose. 3 cards in their hand after this. Very strong start on the play for them. Maybe they can get a little flooded. I'm regretting boarding out that Pyroclasm, I guess. Gotta say its name, I think. Gotta have Delirium for next turn. And there's no green card for me to return, which I don't exactly love. I think I just kind of have to take the fear of missing out since the Phoenix is useful in the yard. We do have 6 types for next turn. Although we can't give it our Flytrap flying. We also... Sorry, was this the game? I guess I didn't Bauble Endurance this game, did I? Yeah, bubbled myself. Okay, I'd love to see an attack here, because that means no Court of Calling, so they don't have the nuts. The Birthing Ritual looking pretty good. Green card? Not a green card. Well, I think I'm just going to help Daybreak on Yogg. I don't know that there's another realistic path to victory here. At the very least, we get to attack for 14, and that won't be so bad. Assuming they don't Endurance me, I guess. The Fatal Push? Yeah, so they're going to sack the food, so they have Revolt for Fatal Push. Much, much less than ideal. Seems like a tough matchup. So obviously we need... First, step 1 is they don't Yawgmoth me. I sack the Grazer, so not getting Yawgmothed. Apprentice is pretty scary, though. And then... this is tight. So I would really like to maybe go Channeler, bestow a Phoenix, kill Grist, or I guess make them jump with Goose. With the ability to double FOMO next turn. For like surprise lethal. I guess we're going to go for that. The problem, of course, is that we will lose Delirium when we bestow Phoenix. We're only going to have land and artifact in the yard at that point. But I think we just kind of have to go for like surveilling Delirium back in. Really hard for this kind of deck to beat this kind of start on the draw against Yogg. Alright, that's 1 type. Alright, 3 types in 2 cards. Alright, so let me attack the Grist, presuming that we're going to get chump blocked by the Goose. And then next turn, I'm attacking for 16. So I set up for lethal next turn. Didn't seem like there's much else we can do. I guess the big problem too is like they can at the very least like Grist kill a creature, but maybe they would not expect to die at 16 life here. Oh, they found a Court of Calling, so yeah, I think we're just dead to them resetting the messenger like 3 times. All right, hard fought, not getting a trophy on our first attempt here. Let's go and see if we can get a 4-1. I think there's a lot that I don't really understand about Commander. That was my main takeaway. I don't understand why Commander isn't an official format handled by Wizards. I don't understand why Mana Crypt is fine in the format for 14 years, is banned yesterday. I also feel like the Jeweled Lotus ban, to me, it seems kind of bad as someone who doesn't play the format much. It seems like that's like a card that people love, a card that people think is really cool. A card that I think is really cool, and like And now the card is like a blank piece of cardboard, which I don't really like so much outside of doubling cube and Legacy. Mike with the 41 months, thank you for coming back. But again, I'm just mostly confused as someone who doesn't play the format. Crit ban seems to be entirely based on price. Yeah, but it's just so weird because like if you were going to ban it because it's too prohibitively expensive, doing it now after Wizards has just reprinted it a lot is just really odd. And I don't know, everything seems very odd to me. I don't really get it. All right, Rumble have a hasty Flytrap coming at them next turn with 5 types now, but I could Tarfire to get type number 6 to attack for 14 next turn. No Woodlands. Arena of Glory is a lot better than Woodlands. You could play both, but like Arena is just more important. Okay, so now Tarfiring first seems like it is just like kind of correct. Although I'm just gonna Bauble them. Okay, that card has never done anything in Modern. Okay, just that was the one thing I need to not tap like that. I'm just gonna grab a basic Mountain and then Exert, and then use one of the mana here to kill a Johnny. Then we go Flytrap. 4 counters and then up to 12 counters on the attack. So presuming getting a chump block. Just attack you for 14. Did not have a creature. I guess I had a Spawn token. They take it. They take 14. So now even if they static prison, I'm just going to go Channeler plus Detective's Phoenix, I think. Maybe I can't maintain Delirium. Doing it for that reason, LED, Mox Diamond, Dual Lands, Cradle must go on. Yeah, exactly. Like there's so many really expensive iconic cards in Commander, and I don't know. And overall, I have negative opinions of the Commander ban list, but I don't really want to insert myself in too much because I just am not much of a Commander player these days. But I used to be, and I do own. Wait, what was the other card banned? Oh, I don't own any Nadus. I have negative opinions on that card too, I guess. Okay, so Pyroclasms, and then I think I went 2 or 3 Endurances in for this matchup. I wasn't exactly sure when I was mapping things out. I think what we're going to do is on the draw, cut all the beasties, try 2 Endurance, maybe reassess. Flytrap was so good there. Triple Bauble. You like the new Razor Kit? Not really, but I know Dingo likes it, so maybe it's better than I think. Beautiful hand. Opponent is also keeping 7. Can I ask a silly question? Why are we not taking their explanation at face value for why they banned the cards they banned? So I will say that like the problem with like taking it at face value, and you should to some extent, but like my issue, and I think most people's issue, is that their philosophy for banning some of the cards is like contradictory with leaving other cards legal. You know what I mean? And it also goes against like the previous I have always kind of felt like Commander is a format where a lot of high level cards are legal because they're fun and iconic and people like playing with them. And a big part of the format dynamics is that if you want to play a lower power level game, you're gonna just rule 0 them out of your game. If you want to play a higher level game, that's kind of I think I've played a lot of Commander where we go, okay, no fast mana, no tutors, we're gonna take those out of our deck, and we're just gonna play a lower power level game today. And so they've kind of like removed that dynamic. And I will say this, I think Rule 0 works a lot better in that direction. I think Rule 0 works a lot better in that direction than starting off low power and saying you're going to add banned cards. And so again, it just feels like weird and contradictory, the whole thing, for the most part. And so like I don't doubt that they feel like they're doing the right thing. I don't doubt that they feel like they have been consistent in their ban list philosophy here, but to me, that's not really what I'm seeing. And it's also a big problem in Modern is the just general inconsistency in ban list philosophy. It seems like big changes to these formats are happening just at the whim of of the commander rule committee. Like this literally just happened on their whim, and I don't know if this is popular or unpopular, but it seems I don't necessarily love that this is something that just happens in like the most popular format. And I will say that I'm like a lot less likely to play commander now. Don't know how much that matters, but okay. So if we draw land, we can Flytrap. Not, I guess haste if it's Arena of Glory. Not quite that lucky, huh? I'm basically a lock to get a land here, so I'm just gonna say its name, and then let's grab fetch land instead of just the surveil land. I was hoping to find Arena of Glory. Only one say its name in the yard still. My theory is that game design and format management is a much lower priority at Wizards nowadays than it used to be. I don't know, maybe. I will say there's a lot of like this kind of like conspiracy stuff, trying to like understand what's going on, and this kind of like angst and trying to understand stems from the inconsistency, this degree of like speculation and like weird conspiracy theories and stuff like this. It's because everything is so inconsistent. It feels. It's a good time to Tarfire, just deny 3 energy. Yeah, but like Mingu's always said, Wizards likes to do things at random. They've always done things largely at random. Well, I maybe would have preferred to bolt the Ajani. Well, now I still can bolt the Ajani. Let's just go ahead and play a Flytrap here. They've got a Flage, but I have Mono Green's Titan, Omnivorous Flytrap. Thoughts of fear of messing out a domain in the Brawler spot. I mean, you should already not be playing Brawler. You should already not be playing Ragavan. You should already not be playing Wild Nacatl. You should be playing Guide Pride, Johnny, probably in those spots. Maybe you can play FOMO. Also, although I don't really think Delirium is going to be as accessible as you would really want it to be. Wizards doesn't run the rule committee, though. Seems to be a bit dramatic to blame them for everything. Well, Wizards allows the rules committee to manage Commander. And for me, and this is something I feel like I had a big disconnect with when we were talking about this yesterday. And I don't want to talk about this all day today, but I feel like I would prefer Wizards to manage the Commander ban list. I would prefer for Commander to be an official sanctioned format. And I told Esther yesterday, like that not only is Commander not an official format, but a third party manages Commander. That a separate entity manages the Commander ban list. I told her this yesterday, and it like blew her mind. She was kind of shocked, to say the least. And I think that's just like the appropriate reaction. I feel, and it's just like if like every single set has its own special Commander product, I think it's probably time for them to just manage it more, in-house. If Commander was sanctioned, we get Commander RCQ season. I mean, you probably don't have it as like a competitive format, but you could. I know some people would like it. I'm open to the idea. Why to put it on 0? I mean, they're playing around Lightning Bolt. They don't have Bolt in my deck. I don't think it's such a weird thing for them to play around, but obviously it is bad for us that they chose to play around it here. Isn't Pauper sanctioned? Yeah, Pauper sanctioned. I'm not sure exactly what you're getting at with pointing that out, but yes, it is sanctioned. Well, I need my opponent to have nothing. So first I can see if they have a card I'm dead to on top, I guess. This can maybe be step 1. That is a card I'm dead to. Oh, but I can draw another bolt off the Bauble. So let's play to that. Bolt or Tarfire. Bolt the cat. Attack the Ajani. Ooh, I can also... No, I never mind. I need to not do this. I need to go all my counters here because they're gonna just fly the Flage. So I'd rather just be able to. Oh no, sorry. I did need to put all the counters on the spawn so I could chump if I even drew the burn spell for the Guide of Souls. So I mean we're dead. Just kind of a turn too slow, I guess, because we could have flown this next turn and hit for 1 billion damage. Have game 3 on the play. Do I want a 3rd endurance? Let's just try 2 on the play, maybe 3 on the draw. Couldn't you have bolted the guide? I think I need to bolt the cat token, I think, don't I? Because then the Johnny's also just going to kill me. But I'm just super dead. Commander is the first format listed on Wizards website. Is it really a non-sanctioned format? Am I missing something? That is my understanding, is that Wizard is a non-sanctioned format and that it is kind of owned by the rules committee and managed by the rules committee. And I've always felt like this is kind of weird because to me, the idea of homebrewing a format to some extent is that if it's good enough, if it's popular enough, then it gets adapted by everyone and Wizards makes it an official format. To me, this has always kind of been my vision of what it means to homebrew a format. I know not everybody shares this vision, and there's like a lot of like kind of disagreement on this. And some people seemingly yesterday were even like upset that like I support Wizards taking over Commander and managing it in house. And I don't really understand that so much, but I guess that's what we're talking about. Okay, so I have a dead Channeler. Oh no, so it's a Ragavan. The worst thing you can do when you tap a red mana in Modern. Let me try to get Delirium with either this Surveil or the Commercial District Surveil, I think. Not quite that lucky. In fact, you might even say a little unlucky to miss, but we've been getting kind of lucky before now, I suppose. The lack of transparency. Yeah, I agree. Lack of transparency and lack of consistency too. Although that's kind of the same thing, I guess. It's a casual format anyway, so even if you like WotC's bans, you can just ignore them. So, I mean, this is something that you say, but the thing is, it's like tons of people play. Commander's the most popular format, and 99% of the time, people will just use the standard ban list. And in fact, I think there's even a big culture around, like, I think it's kind of like a dick move or kind of like looked down upon if you're like, I know Wizards just banned this, but I want to play it anyways. For me, when I was playing a lot of Commander, I always felt weird saying, I know Wizards just banned this, I'm going to play this anyways. Is that okay? And is this because I'm just always a little bit, I'm a people pleaser and anxious all the time, maybe, but that is at least how I felt. Okay, so I'm really hoping that we can find the third Say Its Name with 5 looks next turn and put an hasty Altanak into play with our Phoenix. But enough Commander talk, Enough Commander talk. So they're going to kill my spawn and a Channeler. No reason to sack in response besides wasting everybody's time. So now this is fewer looks at my Altanak. I really want it to happen, though. We haven't got to do it yet this league. I think I'm going to leave this untapped in case I just find FOMO. So missed on our first look at a third Say Its Name. And we have missed altogether, unfortunately. That being said, we have found a FOMO, which is going to be pretty good here. Obviously not super likely to have hit in that spot. Just would have been exciting. This will be an extra 5 damage, and we can discard this this Phoenix for value. A Rumble is pretty exciting. So we're going to attack for 5, and then 3 more for a total of 8, putting my opponent down to 8. What's nice is you can't really misclick if you untap Channeler because it has to attack. So my opponent has no board state. They're at 8 life. We have a FOMO and a Channeler in play, which is pretty exciting. We have 3 Detectives Phoenixes in the yard. I was brewing a take on Izzet Wizards with Harbinger and Magus. As my Wizards is more tap out Izzet midrange deck. Does it sound better than normal Wizards? No, it does not. Playing a bunch of 3-mana 2/2s in the energy format is not very good. That being said, I've been thinking about a more Ponza style Wizards deck that like you can pick up Stone Rain with Tamio and you can reduce the cost with Rao. And you can convoke out Stone Rain effects with Party Thrasher, but I also don't really think that that build would be very good. All right, maybe they have a ring here. What's the reason for learning Lightning Bolt instead of Unsullied Heat? To me, it seems better to kill Flage, Frog, Murktide, etc. This is a pure aggro deck. This is like exclusively an aggro deck in my mind. It is not a deck that is trying to be slower and grindy and like 1-for-1 removal over the course of a long game. I am trying to, dude. They can cast a One Ring. Ugh, insane turn, devastating. To me, I'm trying to just close games as quickly as possible. Dude, Guide into Raptor into Ring is just so unlucky. Into second Guide. So maybe we can get lucky and we can say its name. That's kind of what I'm going for here. Okay, so we have both bricked and we've hit, which is funny. Instant. Sorcery. Creature. Instant. Yeah, you have to do it at sorcery. So if they didn't have ring, we'd be like, yay, we're hasting our flying, all in attack, we're untapping it, we're giving it a second combat step. Instead, we're passing the turn. Are we dead to flying hasty flage? No, they don't have enough cards in the yard, and I'm at 16, and I have a blocker. Maybe I've miscounted because of bombardment, but they don't have enough cards in the yard. And if they go like fetch Surveil for card in the yard, yeah, that isn't lethal here. Any playable damage can be befriended cards. There's like Bone Crusher Giant and Sunspine Lynx. So I'm kind of surprised my opponent has not immediately tapped the ring. I think this is maybe that they're strong. Isn't exposing ourselves to Graveyard Hate better than exposing it to Static Prison? Maybe. I would think that I was trying to play around Graveyard Hate more than Static Prison. It's probably a pretty similar number. Maybe 3 pieces of Graveyard Hate versus 3 or 4 Static Prisons, so maybe slightly better this direction. We also get to draw a card if they Static Prison the Altanak. We could maybe even Endurance them, and we also we still very much have lethal if they Static Prison Altanak, but maybe it depends on how much life they gain. Do you have any Yogg builds? I haven't been working on Yogg for a little while. Sorry, this guy, how many rings should this deck be playing? The one I'm playing, 0. The one Boros should be playing, I don't really know. I do think Ring and Boros is pretty good at the moment because it's a Boros metagame, but I think that there's a good chance that Boros will not be the most popular deck at some point, and at that point you I think you only want to play Ring and Boros if Boros is the most popular deck. Maybe also if Jeskai is popular. But it's kind of a weird dynamic. I tried Fear Fire Foes. It's like much worse than Pyroclasm, especially in decks like this that can actually support Pyroclasm. So after about 3 minutes, my opponent taps the ring. And then they think some more. War and Fish with the 11 months. Thank you. Welcome back. Appreciate you. Ring in this deck. This is definitely a 0 ring deck. You should certainly not play any rings in the deck I'm playing right now. Am I still really low on Oliphant? Yeah, it's just another tap land, and we're not lacking evidence to collect. You may notice I have no copies of the ring in this deck, and I'm very happy to play no copies of the ring in this deck. What is their hand? I'm so scared. With double Guide of Souls, they can just gain so much life. But if they just gain a lot of life and they don't kill my Altanak or my FOMO, they're going to be in bad shape. Okay, so my opponent has started this turn 4 minutes ago. In those 4 minutes, they've tapped the ring and they've cracked a Windswept Heath for a basic Plains. How has Say Its Name been? Well, I put a 9/9 into play. I liked that part. Okay, so they've sacked an Amped Raptor. So presumably they're going to go for a Hasted Flage. What's the best way to try to get new cards from someone who isn't familiar with Mono Trade Bots? I want 4 of the new fish. I would order them online from GoatBots, and then like set up a GoatBots account where they'll ship directly to you. That's usually what I would do in the past. Okay, so I'm gonna kill a Channeler. Now, if they fly the Flage here, they can't play another spell this turn, which gives us a lot of info on how we're going to sequence. They're at 12 life, presumably going up to 15 after they attack with the Flage. They target the FOMO with the Flage, which does nothing, because either I block and the FOMO dies, or I don't block and the FOMO lives. So I guess maybe they're going to bolt it, maybe they're going to double sack. But I'm gonna take 6 here. We have the rest of the Detective's Phoenixes available to us too, which is interesting. And then they play Ocelot Pride, and they're gonna gain a lot of life here. And they're also gonna have Goblin Bombardment in play. Oh, and so they're gonna ping my FOMO down. Ugh. So it goes ping ping. Sad. Kind of shocked that turn took so long. Really good, really swingy game. Okay, so I can go Channeler, Phoenix, potentially. I might not have enough evidence to collect. But say I did, that would be 3 plus 8 plus 9 trample. Oh, sorry, this will be flying too, so they'll be flying. So 3 plus 8 plus 9 is 20. My opponent's so that would potentially kill them because of the ring. So I guess let's go ahead and try that. All right, so let's go ahead and exile one of our 2 sorceries. Flytrap, Channeler. And again, I'm thinking we're probably going to not have enough evidence to collect and maintain Delirium, but we get some surveils along the way, which is kind of nice. I do need to go on the Phoenix here so that they can't kill any of my creatures here. So there's a fire in the yard, and then 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, just not enough. Would I cut Altanak against any deck of Master? We just lose the target. No, you just when you put Altanak into play, it's 0 mana, so it's very easy to just have a red mana up. So that if your opponent Bowmasters your Altanak, you'll just draw into one of your 7 1-mana removal spells and just kill the Bowmaster. It's not really a problem. I'm going to concede. I mean, very... Oh, well, I guess they're just taking the hit. Down to 3, they're going down to 1. Super close game. We were super ahead, and my opponent just, like... They just had the perfects for, like, those last 2 turns to stabilize. Tough game. Let's do another one. I think this deck is still very exciting. I think pretty promising showing still, despite going 3-0 into 3-2. Let's do another one and get more reps in.